I'm Robert Savereide. I was born October 14th, 1921.
And what town were you born in?
Waterloo,
Okay. Were you born in a hospital or at home?
in a hospital.
Wow, that was not very often people were born in a hospital back then.
Yeah, whether it was a Catholic, I'm not Catholic, but that's where I was born, in a Catholic hospital in Waterloo, yeah.
And what year was it that you were born?
1921.
1921. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one brother, he's deceased. He was older.
Do you remember the Great Depression?
Yes.
What was that like to live through?
Well, it was rather quiet. My parents had a nice car, but was always in the garage. We did a lot of walking in those days. Yeah, that was the early 30s.
What did your parents do for work?
Oh, my father was a salesman, a good salesman out of Des Moines for Paramount Pictures. He would call on movie owners through a certain section of the state to sell them Paramount Pictures.
Huh.
And so he traveled during the week, and we'd have him on the weekend then. Yeah.
Where did you go to high school?
Well, I went to a military academy in Missouri.
Huh. What was it called?
Missouri Military Academy.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Why did you go to a military academy?
Well, I had an older brother, and he was about 2 1/3 years older, and they decided to send us to a military academy in Missouri, at Mexico, Missouri, about 110 miles from St. Louis, northeast Missouri. That's where I graduated from. Went there when I was in 4th grade, mainly because my father was traveling all the time. He was a salesman for Paramount Pictures out of Des Moines, but he traveled certain sections of the state to sell the film. Really a rental is what it is. And
What year did you graduate from the military academy?
1939. Yeah.
Now, then, is that when, tell me the story about when you joined the service.
Well, I attended a military academy, so I was a reserve officer. I had 4 years, and I graduated from there, from high school, and each year in high school we had a regular academic classes and also a military class
Yeah.
every day, along with our academic classes. And so when I graduated, then I was what they call a reserve officer, in case the nation needed more officers if the nation became involved in a war. And sure enough, I graduated in 39, and war was soon declared in the early 40s. And so I was called into the service then as a reserve officer.
Well, do you remember at what point in your life you decided you wanted to be in the service?
I didn't have much choice. I had attended this military academy in Missouri and graduated from there. And in addition to our academic courses, we also included a course in military science and tactics for the 4 years you're in high school. So when you graduated, you became a reserve officer in case the nation was at war or needed to, or if they needed officers, I was one they could grab, and they did.
Do you remember the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed?
Pearl Harbor. Yeah, the Japanese attacked and started World War II. I've never forgiven them for that. They attacked some of our soldiers on some of the islands, and that started World War II.
Do you remember when you first heard about it, what you were doing?
Well, I guess I was just finishing high school, I think, and along with my academic courses, I was also studying for 4 years military science and tactics in addition to the academic work. And so they put me to work right away, training. For about 9 to 12 months, I was training young recruits. Not that I was so bright, but I had that background, and then they sent me to France.
What year did you go to France?
In the early 40s to fight the Germans. Yeah. In the early 1940s when that war started. Yeah.
What was your job?
Well, I was a first lieutenant, and so I led a platoon of 30 men, 30 fighting men on the front. And so I would carry out orders that were given to me, and I would share it with the 30 men that I was in charge of to either attack or defend, whatever objective.
Do you remember what unit you were assigned to?
Well, it's the Army, yeah.
Do you remember what unit, though? Was it 101st or 82nd?
The 35th Division.
Oh, was it the 35th Division or the 34th Infantry Division?
The 35th, I believe.
Okay. Did you have on your uniform, did you have a patch on your uniform?
Oh, what?
Like some sort of symbol that represented your unit, like a patch or a mascot or a nickname for your unit?
No, I don't remember much about it, I guess.
Okay, so they didn't call you the Red Bulls?
No, no.
No, so you were not a Red Bull?
No, no.
Okay. That's a very big unit that was in World War II. Do you remember what towns you were in France?
Well, we eventually got to Paris,
Yeah?
but that was rare. Yeah, it's.
Were you mainly in the countryside then?
Yes, I was in the Army there, the American Army. France has always been friendly to these United States. And when Great Britain was ready to land a bunch of troops with their red jackets to take over this country, France sent most of their navy to protect us and turned the British back, sent them back home. Said, you're not going to do that. And so we've been always friendly to the French Navy and the French people.
Did you ever meet French people as you were working in the villages and towns?
Oh yes, yeah. Once they were at war with Germany, it was only right that we send some troops, and I was one of them, sent to France to fight the Germans. France and these United States were always on a friendly basis. And
how did you get to France?
on a ship, a troop ship, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get seasick?
No.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. That's a lot of water to cross.
Did you ever get letters from home?
Oh, my, yes.
Who wrote you letters?
Well, I was married, and it's mainly from my wife, yeah.
What's her name?
Her name was Ruby Wilmoth, Wilmoth, and she didn't like Ruby, and she didn't like Wilmoth. She just said, call me Willie. Willie. Her last name was Woods. And she said, just when we first met, her name was Willie Woods, she said.
When did you and Willie get married? What year?
Oh, I think it was in the early 40s. Yeah. The early 40s during the wartime.
But before you went to France?
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
Did you have any children before you left?
No.
No?
No.
So Willie would write you letters?
Of course.
And how did that make you feel?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Now, were you a good husband and write her letters back?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have mail call every night, whenever the mail would come in. Sometimes you'd get 3 or 4 letters the same day, because they couldn't get the letters to you every day, but when they would finally catch up with you, you'd probably get 3 or 4 from your sweetheart. Maybe some from your parents. So the mail was always welcome.
What kind of things did you talk about in the letters?
Well, we couldn't say where we were, of course. There are certain regulations that way in case the letters would be intercepted by the enemy and reveal important information. You couldn't tell them what part of France you were in case the letters would be interrupted and helpful to the enemy, I guess.
Did you ever get care packages? Like larger packages made from USO or...
Oh yes, yeah. Occasionally, they could send packages. I didn't get very many.
Did you spend the holidays in Europe? Do you remember having a Christmas there?
Oh, it would be very meager.
Well, what was it like to be away from home for the holidays?
Not good.
Well, yeah. Would you make the most of it?
You just do the best you can. Yeah.
How about the food? What kind of food did they give you?
Army food, yeah. That was packaged in waterproof packages. They call them rations. And every morning they'd give you your 3 meals that would be all packaged in a waterproof container that the container would keep it protected and dry, and the wrappings on the container were burnable, so you could heat a cup of coffee or heat some food. That's the way it was, they call it.
Did you have a favorite sea ration?
Oh, we got tired of them after a while. Those were in cans, the sea rations were.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a chocolate bar, they call that a D ration, I guess. It was hard chocolate. It could stand warm temperatures without running all over the place. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a Hershey bar, but it was chocolate anyway.
How about your living quarters? Where would you sleep at night?
Well, wherever we happened to be. Yeah.
So in the field, would you sleep outside?
Well, of course. Yeah, we didn't have any hotels.
Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Oh, well, we went. The weather was similar to what it would have been in the United States. I was in Europe then, and so at night, it would be foolish to take your boots off because your feet would just get real cold then. So night after night, we'd leave our boots on. And one night, though, we got inside, we got into a building, I guess. And since our feet hadn't been exposed hadn't been bare for quite a number of days and nights, they eventually started to swell when you did take your boots off. And then you weren't able to get your feet in your boots the next morning. They were all swollen. Your feet were swollen. There's no way you could get them in, so they had to send us back. Couldn't fight a war with your bare feet. So we put our socks on and walked back on the hard surface road because we couldn't get our boots back on. Our feet were swollen so much. That's how it worked.
How would you get from place to place?
Well, there were trucks that could take us a certain distance. And since we were infantry, we walked the rest of the way. Otherwise, the enemy could shoot the trucks if they got too close.
So did you do a lot of walking in Europe?
My, yes. Yeah, we walked a great deal.
Did you ever calculate how far you walked?
Oh, no. No, I would be amazed to know how far we walked.
How about your job as an officer? What were your responsibilities?
I had 30 men in a platoon of 30 men. That would be full strength. Whenever you had full strength, we were usually in the lower 20s or mid-20s. And I would receive orders, and then we would carry them out. I would be with them right in the middle of them as we did that. And most of us survived, fortunately.
What kind of orders? What's an example of orders?
Well, high ground has always been the desirable land to be on, because if you're up higher, you can see and protect the hill that you're on. And if you weren't on a hill, you were probably going to attack one to drive the enemy off, so you could occupy the hill. And of course, a lot of it, the land was flat, and some of it was hilly, but
Do you remember what kind of weapon you had?
what kind of what?
Weapon? Is it a handgun, or did you get an M?
Oh, I was an officer, and I carried a carbine. It wasn't as heavy as the regular Army rifle, but it shot the same ammunition, and it was a good rifle, but it wasn't as heavy as what the men were carrying. And then you'd have an ammunition belt around your waist. It had pockets where you'd put clips of ammunition all the way around your waist.
So the job of an officer is to carry out orders, but isn't your job also to take care of your men? Did you take care of your men to make sure they stayed safe?
Yes, most of us survived. We lost some, but most of us were able to survive. I was in charge of about 30 men at full strength. They called it a platoon.
Since you did a lot of walking, did you get to see a lot of the countryside?
That's where we lived, on the countryside.
What did you think of it?
It was a good deal like the countryside in Iowa. The temperatures were about the same. This was in France, of course.
Did it get cold?
Oh, of course, yeah. November on. Be very similar to what it was in our part of Iowa here. Yeah.
Did you partake in any major battles?
Of course.
Do you remember the names?
No. I wasn't bothered with the names.
Do you what was your job during the battle as the officer?
I would fight with them,
With your men?
Yes. Right in the middle.
So, are you happy that that is how you served your country?
Yes, I did my part, along with many others. Yeah. Yeah, I was an officer, not a high-ranking officer, but I was a first lieutenant in charge of about 30 men at full strength, 30 infantrymen, good soldiers. Most of us survived. Not all of us, but most of us.
When you got home, were you done with being in the service?
Yeah, I got out then. Once the war was over, I didn't want to stay in the service.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had a belly full of it.
And then what did you do after the service?
Well, I finished my college work. I went back to college and finished. Now, they took me out of college and sent me to France.
What college did you attend?
University of Northern Iowa.
And what did you get your, what was your schooling? What degree?
Well, a BA degree, yeah. And then I got a master's degree after I got out of the service
What was your master's degree?
in counseling.
Really?
Yes.
What kind of people would you counsel?
Students
Mm-hmm.
and other officers and parents.
Where did you work once you graduated with your master's degree?
In Cedar Falls, yeah. Yeah,
So you stayed in Cedar Falls.
yeah, yeah,
You worked at the college in Cedar Falls?
yes.
Did you like your job?
Well, yeah, it was all right.
How many years did you work at the college?
I don't remember.
A long time?
No, not a long time. No.
Okay. Do you have any children?
Yes, we have a boy and a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Our son became a doctor, a physician, and our daughter became a nurse. Once wonderful. Both of them. Yeah, we share the same name. My wife insisted on that. Yeah, he became a doctor.
I think I've heard of him. Up there.
What?
I think I've heard of him up there.
And where is he a doctor at? Minnesota?
That's where he is now. Yeah, up by Ely.
And go ahead.
He's just, he's not in that service anymore. He's a medical doctor, and he's taken a job up by Ely. They're in northeastern Minnesota.
And what's your daughter's name?
Their daughter's name,
Your daughter.
Susan. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're almost done. Maybe a couple more questions. I just want to know if you have advice for any young people who might want to join the military.
To go where?
If you have any advice for the young people.
Well, be the best you can be at whatever you decide to do. Strive to be the best. May not be the best, but it's a good thing to strive for anyway.
Do you want to talk about playing the piano a little bit?
Yeah,
When did you learn how to play?
when I was a little boy. My mother played and my father played the piano, and they were darn sure I was going to learn to play. So my father would always find a good teacher. We lived in Des Moines and in Waterloo, and he'd always Find a good teacher.
Do you still play?
When I can get to a piano, yeah.
Do you have a favorite song?
Oh, a number of them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you think of any other questions that?
Was he in France the whole time?
Oh. When you were in Europe, did you stay in France the whole time, or did you end up going to other countries?
It's mainly France.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get to Italy. It's just France.
Was he there during the Battle of the Bulge? Were you there during the Battle of the Bulge then? In France?
Well, yeah, that was all part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
I heard it was pretty cold.
Well, it was similar to Iowa, I thought, and Iowa gets pretty cold in the winter. Yeah,
So you lived outside.
a good deal of the time. Yeah.
Did you have any tricks on how to stay warm?
Did what?
Did you have any good tricks on how to stay warm?
Take good care of the clothes that you had, because that's the only thing that's going to protect you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was kind of similar to Iowa winters.
Mm-hmm. So it could get pretty cold.
Oh my. Yeah.
One more question. This is going to be it. What is a happy memory that you have during your time in service?
Getting out.
That was the best day?
What is it?
Was that your favorite day?
Getting out of the service. Yes, I'd had a belly full of it. When it was over there.
But you did your service, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you want to show this?
Oh, I'll do that. I do that after. All right. Hey, I think that's it. We're done.
Bet. I'll get you here.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, you bet. All right. Let me get you to the bench here, Bob. Okay.
I can stand up.
Okay. Bob, I'm going to lock your wheelchair here.
Yeah. I'll stand up.
Yep. And I'll guide you to the bench here, okay?
I'll stand up.
Yep. Go ahead and stand up.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, just a couple steps forward here, and you'll be right at the piano keys. Okay?
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Bob, the bench is right, if you want to sit just a little bit to your left here, okay?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay?
I think so.
And then I'm going to scoot you in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
That'll be fine.
All right. Got where you need?
I think so.